You read the title. Some breaking news this evening, and that is with regards to Nigel Farage. Let's dive into the details, but first hit the like and subscribe button and join our fast-growing community. Nigel Farage has confirmed he will be giving up ownership of Reform UK ahead of its conference this weekend. Unlike other political parties, Reform was established as a private limited company with the Clacton MP holding the majority of shares. Now, Farage will continue to be Reform UK's leader, but added, "I no longer need to be in control of Reform, so I'm surrendering all of my shares." Farage said the party was established as a PLC to fast-track the creation of the Brexit Party, now Reform UK, in time for the 2019 European elections. He told BBC that the company structure also allowed him to stop the party being hijacked by bad people. However, the party is planning a major overhaul of how it is run at its Birmingham conference this weekend, with Farage saying he was giving ownership of the party and the big decisions over to the members. Under the proposed new Reform UK constitution, members will be able to remove any party leader, including Farage, in a no-confidence vote. A vote can be triggered if 50% of all members write to the chairman requesting a motion of no confidence. Reform MPs can also force a vote if 50 of them, or 50% of them, write to the chairman requesting one. However, this would only apply if there are more than 100 Reform MPs in Parliament. The party currently has 5. It comes as the Reform leader has said he is not holding in-person surgeries in his constituency, over fears the public will flow through the door with knives in their pockets. Farage said he had been advised not to accommodate the old-style physical meetings between MPs and their constituents in his seat of Clacton. The politician has repeatedly been accused of not prioritising his Commons role, coming under fire for spending time in the US, endorsing Donald Trump's presidential campaign following the July 4th election. During a phone-in on LBC, the MP was asked whether he had an office in his constituency and how many surgeries he had held there since being elected more than 2 months ago. He said, "Do I have an office in Clacton?" "Yes." "Am I allowing the public to flow through the door with their knives in their pockets?" No, I'm not." Asked why would the people of Clacton want to flow through the door with knives in their pockets, he said, "Well, they did in Southend. They murdered David Ames, and he was a far less controversial figure than me." Following this, Nigel Farage has warned that large sections of British towns and cities no longer feel distinctly English in an interview. The Reform Party leader said, "I'm very concerned that we have whole areas of our towns and cities that are unrecognisable as being English, but they're not unrecognisable as being English because of skin colour. They're unrecognisable because of culture." He described the British people as the most open-minded, most accepting people in the Western world, though warned about the cultural and societal impact of mass migration. "You look at our cities now, people often don't even know the names of their neighbours," he said. "It is the breakdown of communities. It's why kind of in the election campaign I said, family, community, country. You look at our cities now, people often don't even know the names of their neighbours," he said. "It is the breakdown of communities. It's why kind of in the election campaign I said, family, community, country." The Reform MP said he would stand for the breakdown in community relations due to immigration. His comments come after Britain has experienced record numbers of illegal and legal migration. Net migration to Britain in 2023 stood at 685,000, slightly reduced from the all-time high number of 764,000 in 2022. When asked whether Britain is the same country if it is made up of a majority of immigrants and their descendants, Mr. Farage said, "Well, it's not the same country because you don't actually have anything in common. That's the problem, isn't it? That part of who we are is shaped by our history, is shaped by our family experiences. It is shaped by the triumphs and tragedies that the country has been through in the last 150 years. It's part of who we are, and if you finish up with large numbers of people with whom you have nothing in common, well, clearly it's going to be a very different place, and one that's going to struggle to have a proper collective sense of what matters." According to UK census data from 2021, 16% of people in the country had been born abroad, totaling 10.7 million migrants. The percentage of people identifying as white British has declined from 87.5% to just 74.4% in 2021. However, Mr. Farage said he was not concerned about this decline in the white British population. Instead, Mr. Farage said, "What is a concern of mine is, in many cases, the lack of integration. We see that writ large by the new kind of politics that's emerging, sectarian voting along religious lines. I never really thought I'd see that in England in my lifetime. I mean, I grew up seeing what it did in Northern Ireland, and it's not very welcome. No, I think the real problem is this, that the population explosion, and remind ourselves that it's 10 million increase since Blair came to power, 6 million increase since the Conservatives came to power in 2010, is having a negative effect on the lifestyles of pretty much everybody in the country." The Reform leader continued, "Whether it is access to public services, whether it is the complete unaffordability or impossibility of young people to get on the housing ladder. I mean, just think about it. We need to build a new home every 2 minutes just to cope with the last 2 years' levels of legal, let alone illegal, net migration. The impact on, everything, traffic, you name it. Our lives have been devalued. Since 2018, more than 130,000 people have entered the UK illegally on small boats. Under Keir Starmer's government, more than 10,000 people have crossed the English Channel." In other news, a senior West Yorkshire police officer broke COVID lockdown rules to have sex with a 21-year-old rookie PC, a misconduct panel has been told. Daniel Greenwood, 41, a district commander in Bradford, who was in charge of the force's COVID response, has now resigned from his role, just hours before he was due to face a misconduct hearing over the affair. The 41-year-old, whose wife was undergoing cancer treatment at the time, broke COVID rules by having sex with student officer Caitlin Howarth, with whom he struck up an illicit relationship. The pair met up in her flat whilst he was on duty in January 2021, which Greenwood accepted had been against the spirit of lockdown rules, but denied it was an absolute breach. Greenwood and Howarth continued a relationship until later that year, exchanging raunchy messages even after the 21-year-old began seeing a man who would later be convicted of drug offences, the West Yorkshire Police Authority said. The tribunal heard on Wednesday that the pair met when her mother, a governor at his children's primary school, introduced them in 2020, though they had previously exchanged messages online where he gave her advice on pursuing a career with the police. In March 2020, he was given a promotion to Chief Superintendent, where he was Silver Commander for the force's response to the COVID pandemic and lockdown rules. In the summer of that year, messages between the pair became flirtatious and openly sexual in nature. Howarth told him that she was attracted to older men and that she wanted to leave her boyfriend, who she was at the time sharing a flat with. Howarth, who is now 24, told investigators, "He always asked me to delete the messages. I think he deleted them his wife didn't see." He admitted to exchanging the explicit messages, though thought she was mature enough to engage in a sexual relationship with him, the panel was told. In October, a month before she joined the force, the pair had consensual dressed sexual activity. In January 2021, the two had sex at her flat whilst Greenwood was on duty. The panel was told that they had sex again for a second time in July, by which time rumours of the affair had started to cause tittle-tattle and gossip in the ranks. The relationship was exposed when Howarth was told by Greenwood that she did not need to give a reason when applying for annual leave, which a senior office later found out about and became suspicious. John Beggs KC, representing West Yorkshire Police, told the hearing that at this point he began to appreciate the trouble he had brought upon himself. Hayworth then entered into a relationship with drug Joseph Shaw, and after a probe into their relationship, she was arrested on November 2nd, 2021, for misconduct in public office. Greenwood was suspended the next day. Beggs said, "Whatever her sexual desires for Greenwood, it ought reasonably to have been obvious to an officer of length of service, age and rank that she was vulnerable in any relationship with him by reason of the stark disparity in age and rank." Greenwood's lawyer, Hugh Davies KC, said that his client had been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and had an alcohol addiction. The 41-year-old was deemed not fit to give evidence. Davies added, "A promising police career has ended. Many perceived he had the potential to become a chief officer. That is all now gone." The panel will decide on Thursday whether or not Greenwood would have been dismissed had he still been employed by the force. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.